All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 33rd Annual Penguin Club Scholarship Ring Dinner. I'm Rob Schmidt. I'll be your host for the evening. Hopefully along the way tonight, we'll make you laugh a little, reflect on the past, and get excited about the future of Youngstown State and our community. Before we get started, though, I just want to remind you to please turn your cell phones off or put them on vibrate. We appreciate that. As you all know, we're here tonight to honor our Penguins of the Year, Ellen and Jim Tressel, as well as our championship teams from this past year. Before we get rolling with that, though, we would like to thank the staff and management here at Mr. Anthony's for their hospitality. They do a great job here. Everybody moved through the line pretty quick tonight. Thanks to everyone here at Mr. Anthony's. Look around. This is a fantastic turnout. Overflow crowd here tonight. We want to thank you for your support of Youngstown State and YSU athletics. Also, thanks to our friends at Cavelli Enterprises for their continued support of YSU athletics. Thanks to our friends at Birkeland Flowers for the beautiful centerpieces on your table. You can take the flowers home with you. You can debate over who gets that. Do not take the vases. I've been mentioning this before. The one year I said you could take the whole thing with you. And President Tressel at the time docked my pay for 6 months. You're no longer in that authority, but you can still dock my pay somehow, I'm sure. We will get out of here probably around 10 o'clock tonight, so please be patient. Thanks as well to KDC Printing. We encourage you to read through the programs tonight. A lot of great sponsors, a lot of great stories in there. Please take a look through that. We want to thank all the area businesses that placed an ad in that program book. Thanks to LED3 there in the back for the video screens here, as well as Greg Roten from Armstrong for videotaping this and providing us with the video that you see on the screens here tonight. From the YSU staff, we want to recognize Executive Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Ron Strollo. If Ron would please stand. I know he hates being acknowledged, but Ron, please stand. In the back. Man, a few words, but has done a phenomenal job as our athletic director. Also a special thank you to our Associate Athletic Director for the Penguin Club, Jim Morrison. Jim, where are you at? Please stand. Right back there. Also, thanks to Tom Morella, Austin Snodgrass, and Colton McFadden. They helped put this event together. Tom was fantastic in seating everybody here, putting them in their right places, as well as Austin and Colton for organizing our event. If they would stand, as well as our entire staff that are in attendance from the YSU Athletic Department, please stand and be recognized. Now, there are more than 500 student athletes that now participate here at Youngstown State. This past fall, they not only excelled on the field, on the court, on the track, but they also excelled in the classroom. They combined to post an impressive 3.48 semester grade point average this past fall. 429 of those student athletes had a semester GPA above 3. 144 of those student athletes posted a perfect 4.0. Nearly half of those student athletes have maintained a cumulative GPA of 4.0 upon conclusion of the fall semester. All of YSU's athletic programs own a cumulative GPA of 3.21. The women's golf program leads the way with a 3.94 GPA. Swimming and diving posted the top men's GPA for the semester at 3.63. And again, a nice round of applause for those student athletes who are here in attendance and for all of those that make us proud every day. Now, as we know, this event not only helps raise money for athletic scholarships, but for championship rings for those student athletes who excel in their sport. Tonight, we're recognizing 9 teams. They won't all speak, but they are in your program if you want to read through that. They either won a league championship or reached the NCAA tournament this past year. That includes men's basketball, women's tennis, men's cross country, men's and women's indoor track and field, men's and women's outdoor track and field, as well as football and bowling. We want to congratulate those respective head coaches, Jared Calhoun, Mikkel Sopel, Brian Gorby, Doug Phillips, and Doug Kaburski, along with the rest of our coaches who are all here in attendance, along with our student athletes. Would they all please stand, both our coaches and student athletes? Don't be shy. This event's for you. Enjoy it. Now, for those of you who may not know, last night the men's basketball team clinched at least a top 3 finish in the Horizon League with its win over Detroit Mercy. They still have a chance to earn a share of the Horizon League's regular season championship if the Titans can upset Oakland on Saturday. Now, the men will host a quarterfinal game next Thursday at 7 o'clock. Need to see you at Beagley. Tickets are available. The YSU women's program plays Saturday.
Anchor University. But they're significant quotes. They really are. And I want to set the stage with these quotes. The great coach for the Green Bay Packers, Vince Lombardi, once said something to the Green Bay Packers. Early in his career, he said, if you're going to play on this team, you have to understand that we're pursuing perfection. He said, now we're not going to achieve perfection because perfection is not possible in a human endeavor. But by pursuing perfection, somewhere along the way, we're going to encounter excellence. And that is the minimum acceptable level of performance on this team. And if you can't sign up for that, then you need to grab your equipment and go turn it in and go find something else to do. Folks, I don't have to tell you this, you know it. Jim Tressel embodied that same philosophy of excellence. I found 2 quotes, Jim, and there were many, many more. I was teasing about only finding 2. There were a lot. But I did find the 2. Jim once said this. He said, the hallmark of excellence, the test of greatness, is consistency. Do it right the first time, and do it right every time. That's what he was saying. And then the other thing he said was, success is the inner satisfaction and peace of mind that come from knowing that I did the best I was capable of doing for the team. I don't think there's a question in anybody's mind in this room that that's what Jim Tressel has done throughout his career, certainly what he did here at Youngstown State. So, yeah, go ahead. So on behalf of the First Lady of Youngstown State University, my wife Leanne, who, by the way, I told the board, stand up and wave, honey. I told the board how grateful I was that they hired her to be the First Lady and that I could tag along, and it worked out good. But we are so honored to be here, so honored to follow in your footsteps. I can't fill your shoes. I don't believe anybody can. But I'm going to give it the best shot I can to build on the great foundation that you and Ellen have laid. Thank you so much for what you've done, what you continue to do. We love you, and we wish you the very best.
All right, before we let President Johnson go sit down, for those of you that bought raffle tickets, please get those ready. We'll do that now while everybody is still sitting here paying attention. All right, we are raffling off that football to my right that is signed by Jim Tressel and Lloyd Carr, donated by Rich Tropez. All right, we'll have President Johnson grab the number. Winning number 802-3815. 802-3815. Who has that ticket? There we go. You want to loop around, you want to come over and grab it? It's right there. Grab it from the bottom. We don't want you to drop it and break it. All right? We can only afford a case that fit on top and not locked in place. Got to make some money somehow. You can't spend it all on the hardware. Congratulations. All right, as many of you know, the Penguin Club and its members are a vital resource for the athletic department here at YSU. While most of you are already members, I'd like to bring up the president of the YSU Football Alumni Club and a Penguin Club trustee to tell you more about the importance of becoming a member. Matt Hogg. There he is. It's hard to miss Matt, but I was looking all over for him.
All right. I was a little worried coming in tonight that, you know how it is. You don't want to go show up at an event and wear the same thing as somebody else. Coach has done that to me in the past. Really embarrassing when he does it. So thank you for not wearing a red sweater vest tonight, Coach. I appreciate that. I was thinking about it. I have some notes. I have some things I definitely need to get across. But I was thinking about tonight while I was sitting over there with my son, my wife, the last time I spoke in public, when Coach Tressel was there, was the fall of 1997. I was 22 years old, and we went to, you probably don't remember this. I remember. We went to like a Chamber of Commerce meeting or something, and Coach Tressel, as he does, gets up and it says a bunch of nice things to everybody, and then looks at me and goes, "Hey, Matt, do you have anything to say?" Whew, did I? Yeah, hopefully I do a little better tonight than I did that day. So I don't know if any of you were in attendance, but I'm sorry. All right. Before I get started, Ted Schmidt, the president of our Penguin Club, was unable to make it tonight. He sends his apologies. Ted had a prior work commitment, and he really expressed his gratitude for your support. Thank you for having me. As was mentioned, I'm Matt Hogg. I was a senior here in 1997. Played for Coach Tressel. I'm the new president of the Alumni Football Group. Penguin through and through. And I think I'll share some things tonight about Coach Tressel that show that and show why. As I was always prepping for tonight, I was talking to my wife, and I said, the last time, or the first time, I should say, that I was involved in the ring banquet was the spring of 1994, after the first national championship I was a part of in 1993. 30 years ago. It's just amazing to me how that happens. I was a 19-year-old freshman, and now I have a son in the room who's just slightly younger than I was at the time, and it's amazing to me how it just see some of my former teammates and some familiar faces. It's so good to be back. I was a beneficiary of this ring banquet on 3 occasions, including my senior year in 1997, and I wear those rings with pride and gratitude for this group, so thank you. As part of my role, the president of the Alumni Football Group, as Rob mentioned, I serve as trustee of the Penguin Club. A few things that we cover play a vital role in the athletic program. Within those efforts, we have 4 main fundraisers and 2 banquets, recognition banquets. The membership dues and funds provided by the group are used to fund not only the rings for championships, but also for scholarship money for 40-plus student athletes through the Joe Malmasor Endowment. The Penguin Club also provides $40,000 annually in equipment and computers and technology for the athletic department and coaches. In addition, we provide capital improvement assistance which includes the DeBacco Family Classroom, the Koronovich Family Sports Medical Facility, the Cavelli Sports Center, the Watts, and the upcoming Beagley Center renovations. I extend a sincere thank you to the group from the Penguin Club, current and former athletes, and all those of us who benefited from this banquet. So on to the honoree. People ask me about Coach Tressel all the time. I live in Cleveland. I run into folks that ask me about my experience with Coach Tressel. And I think the best way to extend that is to share with you how I ended up at YSU, and because I think there's some parallels between what he did for this university and what he did for me personally. So 1993, went to a small high school in Pennsylvania. We were not a good program. I was not heavily recruited. Division schools, 2 schools were shying away from me because they didn't think I was going to go there. Division threes were, for whatever reason, all over me. And then I was recruited by a lot of Ivy League and Patriot League schools. I had good grades. The Lafayette's, Lehigh's, Holy Cross, that sort of thing. The only national program that really looked at me was Kansas State. And there was a guy that I talked to quite a bit that many of you are familiar with here. He actually ended up coaching here at Youngstown State at one point, Mark Mangino. And I'd been talking to Mark. He was a Newcastle guy. I grew up in Slippery Rock. Mark kept saying, hey, you know, we might offer you, might offer you, might offer you. And the last recruiting, the very last week that you could go on visits to schools, Mark had to call me and tell me, hey, I can't give you a scholarship and we're not going to bring you here. And he said, you know, Matt, I believe in you, which was odd for me. I didn't have a lot of people that believed in my ability. And Mark said, I'll call anybody. Who haven't you talked to, or who would you like to talk to? So I told Mark, I said, Youngstown State is the only school I told him, the only school I talked to him about. Mark said something to somebody, because John Klasick was at my school the next day. And the very day after that, I came up here and I met Pat Strollo. Pat Strollo was the first person I met when I came to YSU. Met with Coach Tressel. I had a commitment to go visit Lafayette the following day. And I stayed on that commitment, but the following week, I committed to YSU. The part I'm going to struggle with. Growing up in Pennsylvania, we had the news. We had the Youngstown news, so we watched all the Youngstown channels. Coach Tressel would come on every year and talk about the recruits that would come in. And that year we had a great recruiting class. Damon Tidwell, Frank Page, Tim Tyrrell ended up part of that, who's doing a great job at Hoban. Coach went through all of them and came down the last one and said, last but not least, we got an offensive tackle from PA. Matt Hogg, and he's going to be a great one for us. I wanted to do everything I could to prove him right. So when I think about what Coach has done for this school, for this town, for this university, he saw the potential in me, and he helped me find my potential and reach my potential. He saw the same for this university. He has helped see what we could be, and help us get there. So, Coach, congratulations. Ellen, congratulations, and thank you for everything you've done for me in my life. So, go Gwins.
He did a better job tonight than he did in that speech back in '97, didn't he? The best part, you're a funny guy. I can say that now. The best part of Matt's speech was he finally got it right. It's the Watts. People call it the Watts Center, right? They have all kinds of, it's the Watts, the Watson and Tressel training site. Nice job, Matt. Way to get that right. All of our coaches, as you well know, put in a lot of time and effort to make this the best possible experience, as Matt just exemplified, of their college athletic careers and help them prepare themselves for their future endeavors. With those coaches, again, in attendance, please stand and be recognized for your efforts one last time. Thank you. Again, please stand, our coaches who are here, head coaches and assistant coaches. Thank you. Now, with that in mind, there was a reason behind that. Our next speaker guided the Penguins to the FCS playoffs for the first time in 7 years. His team finished with an overall record of 8-5 this past season, and that included a win over Duquesne in the opening round of the postseason. Now, moving into his 5th and 6th year at the helm of the Penguins football program, here's our head coach, Doug Phillips.
Thanks, Rob. And it's going to be quick, but appreciate you setting this on my birthday. Okay? If you guys don't know, I'm a leap year birthday. I'm 14 years old. And let me tell you this. What better way to spend it with 1,000 of your friends when you're winning? Okay, when you're winning, right, Coach? Friends when you're winning. So we just got to make sure that we keep winning. But it's amazing when you turn 14. I made my guys wear a tie today. But I said, when you turn 14, you don't wear a tie anymore. And what's the worst is I went through airport security. And I know you think I'm pretty young, but, I have a 9-month-old boy at home, and I'm pretty young for it. But when you're 14, I didn't think, the security guy says, he has his grandpa's eyes as we went through security. Like, 14 years old. I have no idea. So, but again, appreciate getting up here. And, we're proud of our kids. And, I first want to wish Bill and Leanne welcome to Youngstown, Ohio. We look forward to your leadership. So welcome to Youngstown, Ohio. Want to thank our athletic director, Armstrong, the trustees that are here. You know, the faith to have in our program and bringing me here. I couldn't be more thankful. And to everyone in this room, you know, to run a program, we need money. So yes, we start every year 0-0, and we got to go get wins. Well, guess what? I was minus 3,000 after the playoffs, right, Ron? And so we start at 0 every year, and guess what? We got to go raise money because it costs a lot to be competitive. And Youngstown, the support that we get in Youngstown's better than anywhere else. And we could not do it without the people that are sitting at these tables in this room tonight. So let's give them a round of applause. When I look, and again, I'm going to be fast. You know, I sat up here 4 years ago and gave a talk, and yes, I was 13 at that time, 4 years ago. 2 weeks later, COVID hit. Just became a head coach, COVID hit, shut down the universities. I didn't even get to see the players. We had to come back, cancel a fall season, and we had to play a winter season. And we went a whopping 1-6. Come back 5 months later and play another season, and we go great, 3-7. But I tell our kids one thing. The one thing Youngstown has is grit. And there is a key word that I use. Michael Voitis, where are you? Michael Voitis, what's that word? It's stick-to-itiveness. No matter what. If we get knocked down, we're going to get back up. And I'm proud of our young men to win 7 games the year before and this year to really get to the playoffs. And I'm really excited getting to this spring because I think it's just a start. That stick-to-itiveness that we're just beginning to go over. And we want to knock off those Dakotas. We want to be the best in the country. We want to have the highest GPA. We want to have the best facilities. If they have NIL, guess what? I want to be number 1 in NIL. Not going to run from it. You better be able to adjust and to adapt into this chaotic world. It's chaos in coaching. But the one thing you got to do is make sure that you're in proper alignment. And each and every day, we're in proper alignment. When I think about President Tressel and Alan, I think about one thing. The greatest mentor anyone could have had in life. Anyone could have had in life. I was here when I was 6 years old, and we were having rings in 1991, the ring banquet, to get the first national championship rings. But I look back of the learning experience that a great mentor like Jim Tressel is. I'm going to give you some points that I know I learned. Number 1, you better have clear expectations. And what I mean by that, before he even won a national championship, I still remember walking in a stadium, and above the sign of the locker room, through these doors walked the best players in the country. Clear expectations. Every day you walk in, you better know who you are. He always put players first. Whether it's at Youngstown State or Ohio State, be big time. Give them all you can. Treat them the best you can. I want the experience of our kids when they walk away from here. We gave them everything we possibly can. You better know what your kids and your team is thinking at all times. And with social media, sometimes I don't want to know what they're thinking. But guess what? You better know what they're thinking. You better know, and I have an open door policy. You'll never see my door closed. You'll never see it. Because I know one thing. If a young man walks past my office and my door is shut, what's that young man going to keep doing? He's going to keep walking by. I might have the most important meeting going on, but I tell you what, my kids can always peek in because you got to be there for your kids. And if they do come in your office, and the one thing I really took from Coach Tressel, you better demonstrate empathy. We have 125 players. Each of them come from various backgrounds. You don't know what is going on daily in their lives. And that when they come in, you better assume that they are hurting. Biggest thing that I think that I learned from my greatest mentor. Attitude of gratitude. Have you heard that? I know we talk to it when I walk into a team meeting and it's 7:10 in the morning and you better be sprinting when you get up. That you better be grateful for having the opportunity to sit in those chairs, the opportunity to represent this community, and the opportunity to put that Y on your helmet each and every day. They don't care how much you know, so they know how much you care, right? That's from your father Lee. Sat above the table, wherever you've been, Youngstown State, Ohio State. They don't care how much you know, but I tell you what, they will once they know how much you care for them. My favorite was when I was a 23-year-old, think you know all the answers, and I love it. He put me in my place. You have a million opportunities every day to keep your mouth closed. You know what? Take advantage of each and every one of those opportunities. Stuck with me for life. I think I kept my mouth closed pretty much after. But the last one, just win, baby. Wait, that wasn't you. That was Al Davis with the Oakland Raiders. But in closing, Jim and Ellen have changed lives in this valley. Certainly, I wouldn't be able to be doing what I love to do in the city I love, at the university I love, if you weren't part of my life. And with that, I love you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Happy birthday. Wrap your head around this. In 20 years, your son will be older than you. You'll be 19. He'll be 20, going on 21. You won't have to worry about being his grandfather. Also, can you give that part of the speech to my wife where there's a million times that you can keep your mouth shut? Right? Can you... What do you mean? If you've met her, you know what I'm talking about. My voice is raspy this morning because I had to yell at her. In a nice way. All right, now one of the highlights of the night, obviously, is the opportunity. I'm going to pay for that. Roden, did you record that? Yeah, don't put that on. Chance to meet our student athletes. You had a chance to dine with them. Now you get a chance to hear from them. We have two coming forward now. Our first student athlete is a member of the women's soccer program. Head coach Brian Trum was quoted as saying she is one of the greatest teammates to ever wear the YSU jersey. Her perseverance is truly an inspiration, from a walk-on who endured injury to a 3-year captain. This Austintown native has already earned a bachelor degree in finance and international business. She is working towards a master's now in business administration. Will you please welcome Jordan Evans.
Good evening, everyone. As Rob said, my name is Jordan Evans. I recently completed my 6th season on the YSU women's soccer team, and I'm super excited to talk with you tonight and just very blessed to represent YSU athletics. I would first like to take some time to give my gratitude toward those people who have dedicated themselves to making Youngstown State University the university that it has become. I speak for myself and every other student athlete when I say that our experience here would not be the same without all of you and the impact that you have on us every day. The amount of opportunity for us to find success both on and off the field, the doors that are open for us, the support and guidance that we receive every day, and the joyful family environment that is YSU athletics. It's all because of you. To all of the staff, administration, compliance, sports medicine and performance, the academic support staff, media and communications, equipment and facility staff, to all of the coaches, and to anyone who I may have missed, thank you. And to the community of Youngstown, all of those who donate and support YSU athletics, the YSU Penguin Club, all of you all in this room tonight, and those who are not in attendance, thank you. We are truly grateful and appreciate all that you do for us athletes. I would also like to take the time to congratulate both Jim and Ellen Tressel on being named 2024 Penguins of the Year. I truly could not think of two more deserving individuals. Born and raised in the Youngstown area, I've had the opportunity to see Youngstown State grow and develop throughout the years, and I can confidently say that I've not seen as much positive change than when Jim and Ellen were a part of this university. From more opportunities for students to campus improvements, countless donations, and a community rallying behind the athletes, YSU is better because of the both of you. And let me just say, you have to know you're a pretty important person when MVR names a dish after you. So, Tressel tortellini, best on the menu. But beside every great man is a great woman. And as a philanthropist and community leader, you serve as an amazing role model for not only myself, but all of those in the community. So thank you both for all that you have dedicated to this university. Your impact on YSU and the greater Youngstown area will be everlasting and felt for years to come. Congratulations again. So as I stand here tonight, I've taken some time to reflect on my journey and career here at YSU, and I can say that it has been nothing short of special and brought me more than I could have ever dreamed of. I started lacing up my soccer cleats when I was 4 years old after my parents signed me up for a local rec soccer team. Little did we all know that that decision would be the start of my biggest dream. Quickly, my answer to the daunting question, what do you want to be when you grow up, became a professional soccer player. And to be honest, still is. Been sure, I've tried other sports growing up, but the day I sent my brother to the emergency room after hitting him square in the eyes with a driver on my backswing, I knew soccer was definitely the sport for me. As I mentioned, the dream started when I was young. Days in my backyard picking out what fence post to hit turned into 5+ car ride hours every other weekend to tournaments, and my summer days turned into hours of practice and watching my favorite players on TV. I'm not going to lie, like all dreams, there was a lot of sacrifice. A lot of times when I was faced with adversity, injuries, rejection, and times when I thought, is this all going to be worth it? But that little girl in me never stopped dreaming of playing. And throughout it all, I was lucky enough to have the best support system in the world, my mom and dad. They believed in me sometimes more than I even believed in myself. They taught me the true meaning of resilience, dedication, and to never give up on my dreams. I would not be who I am today or where I am today without them, and I just cannot thank them enough. So when I was given the opportunity to play soccer at Youngstown State University, it was truly a dream come true for me. I got to play for my hometown while I earned 2 bachelor's degrees in international business and finance, as well as obtained my master's in business administration. As I mentioned, I stayed for a 6th year and threw some graphic design work in there as well. But I feel so blessed to have found a university where my teammates became some of my best friends, and I found coaches and a staff who truly believe in who I am and care about who I am as a person, and have done so much to help me grow in all of the best ways possible. Every part of my experience was so special, and there are countless moments that I will cherish. From stepping out on the field under the lights to even waking up at 5 a.m. just to carry some sandbags up the stadium stairs. And if any of you here in the room know the term boot camp, you most likely know what I'm talking about. And for those of you who don't, just take a drive around campus at like 7 a.m. and you'll see some people running around carrying weights, sandbags. Those would be the soccer coaches. They'd be so happy for you to join them, but this is a warning. If you do, good luck. But in all honesty, it was those coaches who believed in a hometown girl and who gave me the best years of my life. So thank you to Brian and Josh for believing in me as much as I believed in myself, for teaching me so much on and off the pitch, for helping me grow, and for making a little girl's dreams come true. Being a student athlete here at YSU truly made me feel like I was that little girl kicking the ball around my backyard again, dreaming of all the places the sport of soccer could take me. I was fortunate enough here that soccer did take me a lot of places. I was able to see this women's team grow from a winless season to a record-breaking season and making it to the Horizon League tournament finals for the first time in program history. It was so special to be a part of that transition and see the team culture shift, and I'm so excited to see where that team goes next and all of the other teams here as well. My career here at YSU has only allowed me and my love for the game to grow and for me to continue to dream. Recently, I was invited to attend a tryout for the U.S. Super League, which is a new professional women's league here in the U.S. I say this because it is truly a testament to YSU athletics and the support and opportunities that we receive as athletes here. Let's be honest. YSU is not a Division I Power 5 school. We may not have the connections, the resources, or even some of the facilities that those schools have, though I would argue we can come pretty close. My experience here at YSU has taught me that we have so much more than that. YSU has what we label as grit. That's an atmosphere where athletes have dreams and work so hard every day toward those dreams. And the individuals here at this university believe in those dreams along with us and do anything and everything that they can to help us achieve them. If it weren't for YSU, I know I would have not had the opportunity to be in a professional environment or even consider continuing to play at the next level. Whether it's dreaming of playing a professional sport, starting your own business, or just passing that stats class with an A, athletes at YSU, like myself, feel inspired to follow our dreams. That inspirational environment and these people have impacted me so deeply, and I know wherever life takes me next, that the grit, the YSU grit, the lessons, and the memories will follow. Thank you all, and as always, go Gwins.
Thank you, Jordan. To follow up on that boot camp, just to show her perseverance and her dedication to being a team leader. When you started that, right, you were lagging behind the group, running stadium steps, carrying the heavy bag. By the time she was done, you led that pack. You were out in front, showing your beat Brian, which isn't easy because Coach Shrum loves to go on those country roads and test his body to the fullest extent. Congratulations. Easy to see why she will be a success next step in her life. Our next student athlete runs cross country and distance on the track and field team here at Youngstown State. He earned the first individual cross-country title of his career this past season after finishing runner-up in 2021 and then fourth in 2022. He holds the school record in the 5,000-meter run and won that event recently in the Horizon League Indoor Championships this past weekend, saying it was the perfect ending to a season. He's a senior from Salem who is majoring in dietetics. Please say hello to Hunter Christopher.
Good evening. I'd like to start off tonight by thanking you all for the opportunity to be here and to be speaking and representing the male athletes of Youngstown State. I understand how many outstanding athletes make up our programs, and I'm tremendously honored to be in this position. I'd also like to thank everyone in attendance, the donors, supporters, and the Penguin Club for the championship rings and scholarships that your generosity provides. I'd also like to thank my people for being here tonight. Thank you, Mom, Dad, Cameron, and especially Grandpa. Your continued support. I would not be up here without all of you, and I'd like to congratulate the women's tennis team, men's cross-country team, men's basketball team, and men's and women's indoor and outdoor track and field teams on their efforts to secure last year's McCafferty Trophy. I'd also like to congratulate this year's Penguins of the Year, Jim and Ellen Tressel. Mr. Tressel, thank you for your contributions to Youngstown State and the city of Youngstown. I love talking to alumni about how the university and the city has improved. And it is no secret that this is directly because of your efforts, so thank you. When sitting down to prepare for tonight, I really struggled with getting my thoughts and emotions out in an attempt to thoroughly explain just how important Youngstown State is to me. I was able to step back and reflect on my 4 years here since coming to campus in 2020. In 2020, the funny guy, Coach Phillips, stressed the importance of whom you do it with. I heard this about a month ago, and I instantly remembered my first night in Youngstown on Ohio Avenue. I remember how excited I was, and I remember how this place made me feel for the very first time. I went to bed that night after getting my wisdom teeth removed a couple hours prior, with my parents pleading with me to spend one more night at home. I refused. And the next day, I refused and moved in that night with nothing but my single mattress, a tub of oatmeal, and of course my running shoes. The next day, I had my unofficial practice with my teammates, and I went to bed that night with no expectations regarding my athletic future. I believe, and still do believe, that if I were to walk off of campus for the very last time with my degree and a strong relationship with Coach Gorby and Coach Rube, that my priorities were straight. I would have done everything that I needed to do, and any accomplishments that came after would simply be a bonus. I prioritized the people I surround myself with and quickly fell in love with the values and mindset that are a requirement to live in Youngstown. Youngstown is not for everyone. To outsiders, Youngstown is a city of the past. To me, it is home. Like I said earlier, I fell in love with the attitude and values that are part of you when you choose to live here. The Mahoning Valley consists of some of the most loyal and hardworking people in the United States. When the word loyal is brought up, look no further than two of the most important influences in my life, Brian Gorby and Eric Rube. Coach Gorby, I don't know what this program would look like without you, and I can confidently speak for myself as everyone else when I say that we hope the day never comes that we have to find out. The commitment that you have made to all of your athletes does not go unnoticed. I think we get along so well because others find the expectations that we have for ourselves seem a bit delusional. But not us. I can't explain how much I appreciate you. Coach Rube, what a relief it is to be able to have the utmost confidence and trust in you. It makes enjoying the sport and competing so much easier. I'm extremely grateful that one of the most important concepts in my life is to see how fast I can run. Saying this out loud sounds silly, as running is merely a child's game. The simplicity of the idea, combined with the complexity of the training, is one of the most freeing things I've been able to experience. It is a privilege being one of your athletes. There are about 8,500 current Division I cross-country runners, and there are 25 that get to wear the Y and run for you. The growth we have experienced together makes me confident that the best is yet to come. Thank you both for being amazing mentors and role models, leaders, as well as friends. I deeply value our relationships. I'd like to thank you all again for being here tonight for the opportunity to speak. Thank you for the privilege of being a Youngstown State athlete. And congratulations again to Jim and Ellen Tressel. Thank you.
Also, Hunter, the best part, you're not done, am I correct? You're still running? Okay, so we want to wish him the best. Hunter will embark on the outdoor campaign. It will start March 22nd at West Virginia. We wish you all the best this spring. I'd like to recognize the past Penguins of the Year. Those in attendance here tonight, if you would please stand when your name is mentioned. Our most recent recipient, if he is here tonight, Ed Moransky. We honored him a year ago. Also, Dave Collins, the Collins family, and Diamond Steel. Dave Dybel, Dennis and Janet Haynes, the Hively family, Joe Carolla, the Leiden family, Dr. Darrell and Vicki Mincy, Ed Reese, Reed and Judy Schmutz, Jeff Wilkins, and YSU football alumni. And another one of our past Penguins of the Year is here to introduce to you this year's recipient of the award. Please welcome the president of the YSU Foundation, Paul McFadden.
So you talk about impossible tasks. Is there anyone in this room that doesn't know Jim and Ellen Tressel? Anyone in this room that doesn't know the incredible impact that Jim and Ellen Tressel have had? Not only on our university, on our town, on our region. Well, last week I had the opportunity to chat with Ellen for a minute, and we had a reflection. First, I discovered that this year, Coach and Ellen will be celebrating their silver anniversary, 25 years of marriage. Congratulations, Coach and Ellen. And since Ellen and my topic was introductions at, I'm trying to lower this, but I can't. Introductions at banquets, we started reflecting. And do the math. 25 years, 365 days in a year. All right, Coach Phillips, one more. The years at Ohio State, the years coming back to Youngstown, Ellen said it was 5, 6 dinners a night. Do the math. Ellen Tressel has heard Jim Tressel introduced at banquets more than 1,000 times. So tonight we will not add to that. This is really a celebration of the Watson and Tressel families, and I thought it best to describe our honorees this evening with a few landmark years in the Watson and Tressel family's journey with our university. And it all began with Frank Watson, Ellen's father. She's smiling. 1945, a young Frank Watson walked onto campus fresh off his service to our country in World War II to seek his education. He must have had a great experience because he rose up in student leadership, and his legacy, if he left after 4 years, is still here because Frank was on the student committee that raised the money and installed that rock in front of Jones Hall, not the painted rock by Kilcawley, the rock in front of Jones Hall. Frank Watson, as a senior in 1949 at YSU, was part of the committee that put it there. And we also know Frank went on to serve on the YSU Board of Trustees, the YSU Foundation Board of Trustees. Frank and Norma led the fundraising campaign to raise the money for Stambaugh Stadium. It all began with Frank and Norma Watson. Now, the next year I'll share is the only hard date I'll share. It was October 6, 1962. That is the first time young 10-year-old Jimmy Tressel had any interaction with Penguin football. See, he was a ball boy on his dad's Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jacket football team. And BW came to Youngstown and played us at Rayen Stadium. Unfortunately, a 14-7 Yellow Jacket victory that night. Coach, all the coach remembers was it was a school night, so he was really happy because he got to stay up late on a school night. What you may not know about Coach was later in his teen years, he was a ball boy for the Cleveland Cavaliers, which made me think he's looking for a second retirement job right now. Ironically, Coach Calhoun and Coach Phillips are looking for ball boys, and he is highly experienced. He's a two-sport ball boy, so possibly you could consider him. The next year of prominence was 1972, when a young Ellen Watson stepped onto campus fresh after graduation from Canfield High School, 4 years later graduating with the class of 1976, joining her father as the first two graduated Penguins in the family. Now, 1986, we all know, was a big year. Joe Malmaser, the father of this event, took a gamble. He took a gamble and hired a 34-year-old young position coach named Jim Tressel from Ohio State to come back and coach our Penguins. Had never even been a coordinator. He was a position coach. Joe Malmaser was a man of tremendous wisdom, and he knew a good one when he saw it. 1997, as Ellen illustrated, was the big controversy in the Watson family. See, Frank and Norma fancied this young coach, Jim Tressel, and they thought he'd be a good match for their daughter, Ellen. So for the remaining days, it was Norma who claimed, I arranged for them to meet on that day. Their loge was being renovated in the stadium. They knew Coach would be there. Norma always claimed she was the one that made that fateful meeting happen. But Frank always insisted, no, I was the one. I called Ellen. I knew the coach. I was the one that made it happen. So we'll never know the answer. I have heard from many, though, that Coach was smitten. He was smitten from the minute he met Ellen. Ellen, not so much. But later that week, an acquaintance of hers said, hey, you know, I heard you met that guy, and her response was, why would I want to date a football coach? Ellen, I lost my spot, and you gave me such good stuff. The most recent chapter, 2014, is what we now know is going down, as everyone described tonight, as legend. Coach and Ellen could have gone anywhere. They came back to Youngstown. They had so many opportunities to go elsewhere. But I know a word that they often talk about is service. And they felt a duty to come back to Youngstown, because they knew they could make a difference that no one else could here for our university and for our town. Now, those are the dates that are important to us. But everything to Coach and Ellen is about family. And the dates that are important to them is 1979, when Zach was born. 1982, when Carly came into this world. 1983, when Eric was born. In 1985, when Whitney Tressel came into this world. And now the last 3 dates they're having even more fun with. Because in 2015, young Jonathan, their first grandson, was born. You know, Coach and I had a meeting about 5 years after Jonathan was born, and he'd been there for the weekend, and we're trying to talk. Coach kept holding his arm, and he was dangling his arm, and finally I'm like, Coach, are you okay? He's like, Jonathan had me throw batting practice for 2 days to him. I can't even lift my arm anymore. I threw batting practice for 2 days at him. Rosemary was born in 2018. Golly. She'd be as old as you are, Coach Phillips. It all began with Frank Watson. And Sophie and Eric are here this evening. And last year, they brought into this world Frank Watson. So tonight we begin and end with Frank Watson. Coach and Ellen, look at this room as a testament. How grateful we are to you, how much we appreciate you, and how much this community loves you. It's an honor to bring to the podium the 2024 YSU Penguin Club Penguins of the Year, Ellen and Jim Tressel.
Okay, there was a bit of embellishment in that last speech, so don't take it to heart. President Johnson mentioned Woody Hayes earlier, and I want to tell you a little Woody Hayes story. This is pretty funny. So recently we had a YSU event in Key West hosted by our friends Pam and Joe Corolla. And to get to their home, you have to go by boat. So we get we went down the plank, and the captain was there. It was a young lady, and she says, "Where are y'all from?" And we said, "Well, from Ohio." She says, "Well, I'm from Michigan," and she starts singing the song about how Michiganders hate Ohioans. And Joe says to her, "Oh," she says, "Well, but I kind of liked Woody Hayes." And Joe says to her, "Well, what about Jim Tressel? What do you think about him?" And she says, "Was he before Woody Hayes?" Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's been a fun evening, and we are enjoying ourselves thoroughly. As Dorothy said in The Wizard of Oz, there's no place like home, and this is certainly home for us. It's with great pleasure that we stand before you tonight to receive this honor, and it's certainly a great day for Youngstown State University, for our students, and our community overall, and it's awesome to see such a huge crowd. If I learned anything in the last 25 plus years, it was never to follow my husband at the podium. So that's why I'm up here first. Up until a couple days ago, I had no voice. So my part of this is going to be short and sweet, because I know you're all anxious to hear from him. But like Paul said, this journey at Youngstown State really began with my mom and dad, Frank and Norma Watson. Dad was a 1949 grad, and he and my mom made it their mission to support and enhance the university for many, many years that they were here. Dad owned his own engineering firm, and his generosity opened the doors for many engineering students. But if they didn't become engineering students, he also gave them opportunities to pursue other careers. Mom and Dad would be so proud of the newly constructed Watson Team Center on campus that honors our nationally ranked engineering teams. I'm proud to tell you that the Watson clan, many of whom are here tonight with us, have amassed 11 YSU graduates over the years, with hopefully more to come. Not only were Mom and Dad skilled fundraisers, but they were visionaries. As Paul said, Dad chaired the campaign that built Stambaugh Stadium back in the 70s, a great showpiece for our university. He also served on that board of trustees that hired then Coach Tressel in 1986, and we all know that history. Their accomplishments have been many, and it's with honor that Jim and I have carried on their legacies. The 9 years we served as President and First Lady were very exciting, very special, and certainly rewarding. As we reflect on our time here and coming home to our roots, we can't help be so proud of the changes, the accomplishments, and the overall strong work ethic of our students, our faculty and staff that have enabled them to compete not only regionally, but nationally and internationally on every stage. None of what we have accomplished, however, would have been possible without all of you. As our good friend John Maxwell would say, it takes a team to do anything of lasting value. Our successes have been achieved together with all of you and inspired us to grow beyond ourselves, and for that we are very grateful. And I'll end with this. On your best days, be great. On your worst days, be good. Every other day, get better.
She said, "Can I sit down in case you get long-winded?" Man. You know, I don't even know what to say. They told me that I could talk as long as I wanted, as long as I was done at 8:30. But you know, a million memories flash through your minds. I know there's a lot of people that have been at nearly or all of these scholarship ring dinners. 30, how many of them? 33. And I guess the biggest thing that runs through my mind right now is I wish Joe Malmazer were here. Because he was the guy that set the tone. For you student athletes that are out here and young coaches who haven't been around very long, Joe Malmazer was our athletic director. But more importantly, Joe Malmazer loved Youngstown, Ohio. He loved the Mahoning Valley. And he believed in the impact of intercollegiate athletics and what it could mean to a university, to a city, to a region. And Ellen talked about the fact that Frank Watson was on the committee that did the fundraising for Stambaugh Stadium. The fundraising started shortly after Black Monday. Again, for you youngsters that don't know much history, Black Monday was the time when the steel mills decided they would be elsewhere. And the outlook for our region, the challenge was great. Well, it was that group of leaders in our community that in the late 70s said that they were going to raise the funds to build Stambaugh Stadium, and they were going to bet on Youngstown State for our sustainability, for our ability to handle adversity. So the stadium opened in 1982. Some of you may have been there. Some of you might even know the answer to the trivia question. What was the first penalty ever in Stambaugh Stadium? Paul McFadden kicked the ball out of bounds on the kickoff, and it was a 5-yard penalty. 1982. True story. But I remember when we came in 1986, and Coach Knatzer and I came in, and we were giving the unbelievable blessing and opportunity to join Joe Malmazur's staff and take over the football program. He said, above all else, make sure you let everyone know how fortunate you feel to be a part of this great community. How grateful you are to be the head coach at Youngstown State. And he said, above all else, what you need to do is you need to make this city proud. This is an important moment. You and your players, of course on the field, but in the classroom, out in the community. Every single thing you do, you better make this city proud. And he said, if you pay attention to the fundamentals, and he said, don't ever come into my office and ask me for anything if it doesn't have something to do with blocking and tackling. And if you pay attention to the fundamentals and you have some success, wait till you see what this community does. Well, I think back to, I guess, February of 1991, the first time we needed rings. Of course, we did most things where we didn't have the money for them. We came up with the idea, and then we didn't have the money. So where are we going to get the money to get these championship rings? We'll have a ring dinner. And I think mostly because of Gorby, we've needed a ring dinner every year for the last 33 years because of all the rings Gorby has earned with his teams. But this community has supported us at the court, at the field, sponsorships in the various newspapers, programs, you name it, year after year after year, being here, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of scholarships, tens of thousands of dollars worth of rings. And what's most important, and what I feel best about, is I know that Mr. Malmazur is smiling. Because Youngstown State University has been that shining star that has helped this region continue to grow and sustain and be proud. And what all of our student athletes and coaches need to know is you have the greatest thanks to give to all these people who have been doing it for us every year. You know, Coach Knatzer, Coach Stoops, when we were here in the late 80s, if you look to the west of Stambaugh Stadium, there were a lot of old houses, if you remember. There wasn't the Farmers Bank track, Cavelli Sports Complex, the softball stadium, the tennis center. There's a bunch of old houses. But our YSU Foundation, our great donors, slowly raised the money to chip away at buying all the land. and then had the vision. Joe Cassis and Ron Strollo and Paul McFadden went and knocked on doors and said, can we have this house? Because we want this athletic program to grow. As the stands started filling up in Stambaugh Stadium, all of a sudden, we needed another side. We had about a dozen suites, loges, but we needed another dozen because of all of you. You followed the excellence. You knew that the university was critical for the future of this region. When we got here, we said, this is the greatest half of a stadium I've ever seen in my life. For you young people, all we had was a half a stadium. You think you were born with a whole stadium. Sometimes, you only get a half when you're born. So the other side was built, and the Constantini Media Center, the Piavolis classrooms. On the home side of the stadium, you look at the Ron Jaworski Gateway, the Spiegel Pathway to Success, the Jermaine Hopkins Academic Center, the Tobacco Leadership Center, all of the renovations to the offices, the Dybel Suite, the Hively entrance, the Fagert Lobby. Young people, all of those names that you see all over this campus, they're here. They're here. Cafaro Field, Watson and Athletic Training Site, DeBartolo Field inside of that, the DeBartolo Stadium Club, and on and on and on. Joe Malmazer was right. He said, if you'll fall in love with this city and you'll make sure that everything you do, you try to make them proud. It won't all be perfect, but you try to make them proud. You'll be amazed at what this amazing city can do. I remember, Paul Lydon, I saw it here, I remember when we had 200 beds on campus. That's all we had, 200 beds. And Mr. Lydon helped clean up north of the freeway there, and we got Lydon House, then Cafaro House, then the Honors College. And on and on and on. So Ellen and I being recognized today, we appreciate it. We were just soldiers just like you were. Soldiers that bought into the dream that a guy like Joe Malmazer had, that said, fall in love with this place, treat it with the greatest respect, do all you can do to serve it, and you'll have lived a charmed life. And boy, was he right. How cool it was to see Matt Hogg up there and Doug Phillips and these youngsters down here. Everyone says, what's your greatest victory? Greatest victory is Matt Hogg and Doug Phillips and Jordan and Hunter. That's our greatest victories. And that's what Youngstown State University does on the fields, in the classroom, throughout the nation. We were at the airport yesterday. This young lady came up behind us, and she said, are you Mr. Tressel? And I could kind of tell she was like, there's no way he's still alive. Are you Mr. Tressel? I said, yeah. And she was, I don't know, in her 40s or something, maybe 50, I don't know. I said, yeah. And she said, well, I was there for the good old days. When we were champions, we were Pete. And I was there for repeat. And I was there for three-peat. She said, I was at every one of them. I don't know how many. Is Nicole Kenstrollo here? How many rings have you bought? 50,000? 2,000. Gorby has 1,900. So it can't be 2,000. Whatever the number is, there are a whole bunch of people walking around that everyone they bump into, they see that why. They see that pride. And so I'll end with this. Young people, you now have a little bit of the history. All this stuff that you see around wasn't always here. There was a group of people that made that happen. And your responsibility is to represent that and to do the things that will build the next things, the next records, the next extraordinary stories. And so any of the guys that played here from 1986 to 2000 will remember this because it was the last thing we always said before we left the locker room. It was what we needed from one another, what we expected from one another. And it was real simple. It was a poem by Edward Everett Hale. The poem had like 8 verses. We were a football team. We did 1 verse. We would have missed the kickoff if we tried 8 verses. In fact, I should get Jeff Ryan up here to see if he remembers, but I won't embarrass him. But it goes like this. And this is what we need from one another so we can sustain, like the young gasser lady and I were talking about, so we can sustain and so we can make sure that this goes on forever. I am only one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something. And that I can do, I ought to do. And what I ought to do, by the grace of God, I shall do. It's all we need from one another, whatever it is we can do. And Ellen and I thank you so much on behalf of our family for allowing us to try to do what we could do. God bless all of you.
Thank you. You went over your time limit, by the way. Thank you. That's right. That's right. The Tressel's name is like Archie Griffin. He's the only 2-time winner of this Penguin of the Year award. All right, we want to wish all of our teams the best of luck. We want to thank you again for your support of YSU athletics, and most importantly, we want to thank the Tressels for all that you've done for Youngstown State, the city of Youngstown, and for everybody in this room. You've touched us all. Thank you.
You gotta know about it. Jump out at the show, jump out at the show. Had to turn my flow, yeah, had to change the tone. Had to turn my diamonds, yeah, they smoking head to toe. About what you saying, yeah, just shut up and let me go. Riding in that beat, you let me talk the truth. Bro, I run with these bust down watches on me, I got my blinking tongue. Head number 1 up on these chart, yeah, it's stuck up what? All we do is to go number 1. And I just brought in some ends, the first of the month. Ryan, I'm in the game, I'm a the city, I'm afraid of the sun. I went and paid in the business, we up, I wanted it, nobody done. All of my face, my family, my coat, my brother, my slime, my twins, and my mom. I grew up what you saying, I don't listen to it, I don't wanna hear about none. In the whip, got 2 or yeah, bro, right shirt, yeah, what they calling them up. I'm better bring it back in, away from the top at the time of the month. I better do it again, better shit with a song. He gon' talk to rap. He gon' talk to the biz. He gon' talk to the Schmitz. He gon' talk to the lid. I don't give what you saying. You already heard what I said. You got big boy downs on me. He got big boy bread. I don't give about the cool. Yeah, play the bitch on test. You don't even make no money. You don't make no sense. I ain't a shirt the cool. I better baby, drop it like a star. Keep riding, drop it, baby, drop it like a star.
knocked the ball loose. Thompson still dribbling with the shot clock turned off, and the Panthers now will ring up the white flag. They will allow Brett Thompson to dribble.
Nice cover up there.
Very difficult to see. There's Liana Van Sice,
And there
and
it
she
is.
scores.
Sice again. Wow.
And
This time.
Remain, can the Colonials get one more bucket? Step back three from Johnson is good. Good positive end of the day for Robert Morse. They'll score the final 5 points, but Youngstown State will cruise to a 25-point victory. Into the left center gap, it'll fall, it'll go all the way to the wall. Rounding third base is Imler. She'll come home and score an RBI double. They were 28-8 in Horizon League play. That one's popped up into left field. Coming under it is Roach. She'll make the catch. We're gonna have a throw at the plate. Not in time. That'll be a sacrifice fly for Taryn Jenkins. And we're gonna have an out. Runner was tagged out at third base. A very odd way to end.
All you gotta do is tap it in.
That's up to the outside for Jordan. Nice diving dig. Hard swing from Brown. Maria and Santa sets up high to the outside. Jasmine Vergara cross court. Her serve is received well. IUPUI sends it over. Householder blocked at the net. Santa gets it over.